BBC Radio London, 9 minutes past 12 o'clock. I'm JAMOKE in for Eddie Nestor on the mid-morning show. Now, it's time for...
Trends at 12-ish.
I was just about to cut off Ola in his prime. I mean, my goodness me. This section is all about what people are talking about in London right now. It's where we speak to people like you, the listener, about what's happening near you in London. We get your stories from your local paper, from social media, and those really local things that you and your neighbour are discussing in your WhatsApp group. JUNAID Ali is part of the Hope for Humanity Food Bank in East London and joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me on your BBC radio show. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's a joy to have you with us. Let's talk about your local story focuses on cost of living rise and inflation.
Yes, cost of living has affected a lot to the residents, not on the local communities across the United Kingdom. There's the highest inflation in United Kingdom in the last 40 years, according to the reports, and that they have declared that country may remain in recession for next 3 years. Mm-hmm. We at Hope for Humanity Food Bank have noticed a big increase of service users accessing for the food, and we have heard the stories from them that after paying the rent, they have left nothing in their hand to go to the stores and buy the daily need food. And if so, they cannot afford to buy those because the prices has gone so high that they have no option left except to access the food banks.
And how have you noticed an increase in the number of people coming to your food bank?
Yes, the numbers have increased. When there was a pandemic, and when the economy opened, it decreased. But since last over a month, we've seen numbers of people accessing it. I know a family which is a retired family, the senior citizens, and the lady told me, is an 85-years-old lady, and she was just into the tears. And she said that she never had to come even during the lockdown and pandemic. They were able to afford their needs through their pensions, but now that it has increased a lot, the energy bill has gone so high that they have no option left except to access the food bank to fulfill their daily living needs.
That is quite shocking, isn't it? So it sounds like lots of new people are coming to the food bank. And of course, for them, it's not as if they're just saying, oh, I'll just go along the food bank. They're saying even though they find it quite uncomfortable, that's the only place they can go.
Yes, and then secondly, another thing which we have noticed is that the area where I'm operating in East Ham is a heavily populated BAM community, but I have experienced now in a recent time, over 4 weeks, that we've got English people coming, we've got Europeans coming, we've got from all across the community people accessing, which is another reflection that how much this cost of living have affected across the community, the living cost.
That is a worrying sign indeed. And it sounds like it's only going to get worse.
Yes, it is. That's what I was reading in news yesterday or day before yesterday, that it's saying that is a 40 years is worse in a recession in the United Kingdom, and the country has entered into recession. It will be remaining this for next 2 years.
Well, we'll definitely keep our eye on that. Let's turn to your social media story now. You've chosen a social media story about the menopause.
Yes, this is one of the very important topics, and which has to have awareness to the people how the menopause affects in a day-to-day life of the women, and especially the men need to be educated and aware. And I think so on workplace there should be the workshops should be run where the women can speak openly and can share their problems when they work. And then same, there should be the policies, how the women who are going through the menopause should be facilitated at the workforce. They could have reduced hours. They should have an environment where, according to medical conditions, they can work in a good environment, and the facility should be provided, just like on some places on job opportunities you have specific restriction of having uniforms, and that the medical situation is like that the uniforms cannot be worn because of due to certain fabrics or whatever the issues. That has to be necessary. Should be wide discussion should go on across the country, and that women should be facilitated who are going through this menopause, because menopause not only affects their day-to-day life, it affects their relations as well. A man should be discussed about that how the menopause affects a woman psychologically and physically, and the man understands the problem, and then go hand to support them.
Yeah, and it's really nice that you as a man have raised this issue, because it is quite an important issue. I suppose the good thing about social media is that it is being discussed much more openly than it was, say, even 5 years ago.
You're right. It is, because definitely sometimes in past maybe for like a stigma. This boys will hesitate to discussing things like so privately, especially in the BAM community. We have seen in the community, in the BAM community, once the women's coming forward, they're discussing on it, on a social media discussing on it, on a platform there's the discussion going on. The local borough of Newham is supporting this. Just they have actually guidance to the employers recently. So it's good that the local authorities are supporting it, and I will appreciate that across the United Kingdom, all the boroughs make up the policies, and we should have a wider discussion on it, and especially the men, they understand that how important this topic is to understand and to help women and to facilitate them when they go through this phase.
Well, thank you for raising that particular story. Let's talk about a story that is quite close to you. This is about inadequate housing and poor quality housing.
Yes. At the moment, I have noticed it because I'm receiving a lot of queries myself at our office that there was too much migration currently happen of students, and other people are migrating here. It's good for the country. They're coming for the education. That's really good for the economy. On the other hand, that we have a shortage of accommodations. They're finding it hard to find accommodations, even a single room you cannot find it, and because of that, the rents are out of control. There's no control of the local authority or the government on the rents. They are asking 3 times more rent, and the people who are migrating here, they're struggling on the roads because they cannot afford that rents over there. And if their properties are there, they are poor quality, and the landlords are not maintaining it according to the laws of the country. And this I am facing day to day. I still have 15 to 20 queries, and I myself, who have a good links in the local community, with not only with the families, with the state agents and everyone, and finding it hard to find any accommodation for them.
Gosh, that is very worrying. And I mean, what are we putting this sort of poor quality down to? Is it just that they are not maintaining the homes?
Yeah, no, it's overcrowded basically.
Right.
The houses are overcrowded, they're not properly maintaining it, and the worst is the house rent has gone beyond, means that's not an average rent, should be a 3-bedroom house, which has gone over £2,200.
Gosh.
So, which is a too much rent. So a normal family cannot afford that. And then whenever it is taken as an overpopulated accommodation. And when it's an overpopulated accommodation, definitely the quality will be poor, and the landlords don't care for the maintenance of these properties.
And I mean, we also hear that people who are landlords now are looking, because we're going into a recession and all of the cost of living, that what they are now doing is potentially selling those homes that they had, so there is less housing stock available, and that also is causing a problem, I believe.
Yes, that's also causing problems.
Let's look at charity events and community activities.
Yes, the charity events and community activities are always very good for the local communities. It's for their health and well-being. It's very, very important, especially when going through these depression situations and circumstances. We came out of the pandemic, and now again we are into a cost of living rise, and the people, the ladies and the children and the whole families are going through depressions. So these type of programs are very important. Here I would like to appreciate the local authority, which is my local authority, Newham Council, who is doing a lot supporting the organizations through the funds that they organize such an event. Just like recently, the Hope for Humanity organized a Kowali event, and later on they are planning to organize an event for a Ukrainian migrants for them, and sooner we are going to do for the international students who are coming down, and then recently there's another events going on. Multiple people doing it. There's a cooking classes going on for the local ladies to just engage them to an activity. So it is good for their mental health and well-being. Like projects going on, women safeguarding, and they have a yoga and martial arts, and for the children martial arts, and then cultural programs. For me, this is very close to my heart because this brings the community together. Everyone sit down, they discuss, they share their thoughts, and they get a connection with social interaction and connection. It is an inclusion, and it's coming out of a depression and stress, and it's a bonding. And we as a community move forward and have a healthy living.
Can I ask you, Hope for Humanity, the food bank, do you need to be referred to it, or can people just come?
It is a referral as well, and people can self-refer. There is no such criteria as such that people have to be specifically referred.
Well, can I thank you ever so much for sharing your stories and thoughts with us this morning, and we appreciate you for the work that you do. Junaid Ali, part of Hope for Humanity Food Bank in East London, talking about the cost of living rise, also social media story around the menopause, and then, of course, talking about inadequate housing and also charity and community activities that make a huge difference to the community and bring people together. We thank you for joining us.